All right. Thank you and welcome to My Biggest Blunders, a platform where we invite entrepreneurs, artists, professionals to come and share their professional blunder stories or mistakes in their careers and the lessons that they have learned. So today we have an amazing person. She's no stranger to the platform. If you look at our platform, she has been part of My Biggest Blunders, her talk, I think her performance. I think one of her performances at the moment at 7,000 views. And I think another one is at 6,000 views. So yeah, she's no stranger to the platform. And so today we decided, let's have a conversation with her because usually she performs. So we want to get to know the person behind the performance. And today, as part of Women's Month as well, celebrating women, we have Phindile, the soul provider.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
I am awesome.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, always.
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning. So who's Phindile and how did Phindile get, where did you grow up? And music, how did you get involved in music? When did you discover that actually you are musically inclined?
Okay, my name is Phindile. I go also by the name the SoulProvider. My surname is Nqana. I'm from a very musical family. Both sides of my family, they were musicians, actually. I found out later that my father was a keyboardist at some point in his life, but my mother was the artist in the family. She's the one that, groomed us into the whole music thing. We grew up listening to music. There was always music, at family gatherings. From my mother's side, with her sisters and my grandmother, they used to be like amazing singers. They very amazing.
So family gatherings, what would happen? Would sharing go or
Yes, all the time. They would call us up, as children and say, we're now singing, after lunch, Christmas lunch or whatever, for whatever reason, we would always be called, we are singing. And I remember that my grandmother, she used to be the tenor. And I have another aunt, she passed away, she used to be the baritone. And my mother used to be a tenor as well. And then we have another aunt, she was the soprano. So they had all the voices, especially in a choir setup, because that's where my mother grew up. They always had choir. So yeah, that's how I picked up music. It was a natural progression because I've always been an artist. I remember when I was growing up, 5 years, 6 years, I loved the stage. I loved people to look at me doing something.
Turn the attention.
Yeah, no, attention, that's me. When I started actually singing and playing music, it wasn't intentional. Out of my sisters, it's 4 of us. Out of my sisters, Mama Naratore Nagyabimba.
So you are the first?
I'm the second born at home. Yeah.
So Bimba gay.
Like your
you were out of tune.
Every time people are going this way, I'm going that way.
Okay.
And at some point, as a teenager, you get tired of being told that. I was like, I'm leaving this. I'm not going to sing with you guys, but I love poetry. And I've been writing probably since I was like 12 or whatever like that. So I started doing poetry, writing poetry. And when I was at church now, because I listened to the music, and I was always inspired by the scripture that says, sing a new song unto the Lord. And I was like, I'm going to write music, And I started writing music at church. So gospel was my first genre, my first love.
So this thing of Americans say, I started singing from church. It's like
Like
the norm. It's like
a lot of musicians actually, they started singing and playing at
But
church.
what is it about the church? Is it because it's less judgmental? Is it because it's a safe space? What is it about church that most artists say they started at church?
I think, okay, this is a personal opinion.
Okay.
A lot of musicians become musicians because they're running away from something else. You know, the church helps us to, first of all, it's spiritual grooming as well. It helps you discover who you are. So when you're a musician, automatically when you're at church and you discover that you have the talent, at least there's a platform for it. It's not like, other things that other people are talented with and they can't really express them at church. But music is the first one.
So I've been asking myself a question, right, about church. So if we are Bimba at church, what happens? Does the pastor call you on the side with you? Hey.
No, they'll never.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah, oh, my word. Okay.
But, I mean, it was, the way things, when I think about it now, it was, people like saying the universe orchestrated it. Because when I decided that, okay, I'm going to be a poet, then there was a poetry group at church, consequently. Then, because of the prophet somewhere saying something, I was now in the worship team and I was supposed to do poetry in the worship team. And then now I'm writing music, Then you can't write music and not, sing it to the worship team to say, okay, this one goes like this. That's where I started singing again. And ever since, it has just been.
So where are your sisters? Because they can sing.
Oh, my sisters.
When you can't sing. So where are they?
So my older sister, all of us, it's 4 sisters. All of us, we can sing. We are gifted at singing, all of us. My older sister decided, it's not for me. So she went another way. She didn't even sing at church or at choir or anything like that. Then it's me. Then the third born at home, the one that comes after me, she's a lovely singer. Nqana, she makes me famous. Every time when I pass anywhere, they would say, you look like Nqamisa's Nqamisa's sister. She's an amazing, amazing singer. And since from, Nakwasalomunyan, she has always been singing. We have the 4th sister who is, she's autistic, but she's got perfect pitch. So, you would be playing something. I would play something. She likes the keyboard. I would be playing something on the guitar. Without her learning anything, she would just pick it up, on the keyboard. So she's the genius in the family, But we've always had some form of some way, been artistic at my home.
So out of the 4 sisters, one decided this is not for me. So out of the 3 now, who is like now taking music a step further?
So it's me and Nqamisa, the one that comes after me. We decided we are going to do music. We actually decided to go to TUT together. In 2011, we decided that we're leaving everything else. We're going to study music at TUT. She also has her own, things that she's doing. She's now into acting now.
Wow.
She's doing all sorts of things.
When are we having her on the platform?
You must just call me.
Why don't you want to hog the space?
No, never.
Okay.
Never.
So we are having her next on the platform.
No, definitely. I think you will enjoy her very much. Yeah.
Okay. So started from church, 2011. Decided. What were you doing before you decided to, were you doing music full time or working?
No. So it goes like a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So in 2006, I hear that there's a school called Kafka. It's a very well-known school here in Mamelodi. They teach jazz, and I decide with a brother at church, we buy a guitar. We just buy a guitar, not knowing what to do with it. We just buy a guitar, and then we go to the music school and say we want to study music. We got there. Yeah, they're like, you're a bit late for the term, whatever. Then we decide we sit. Then the very next year in 2007, I decide, you know what, this thing, it's eating me up. And that time I'm studying mechanical engineering.
Hey man, so you're an engineer. Hey man. Oh my Lord, the country is an engineer short. Because whether you are playing music, okay?
But again, the musician.
Okay.
So I'm studying this thing. I thought it was going to be artistic. I liked saying that I didn't finish school because we were the people that actually went from high school, grade 9, into Tutomatlale and started studying the kind of what do they call end courses.
Yes.
Started doing end
so
courses.
So Tutomatlale is more like your technical college type. Yeah.
It's a technical college. So I was very young. I was 14 when I started at college. But it was something that I wanted something that had got to do with drawing or something. And they're like, the next best thing is this. Because of technical drawing. I enjoyed technical drawing a lot. But at the time when I discovered that, okay, I want to do music, I want to be an artist and so on, I went to Kafka and then I was also studying. But it got, your priorities, you see them. I started putting more effort in the music and, leaving the other thing. Consequently, I was part of a band all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I met a gentleman. His name is Phindile as well. He plays the guitar.
Wow.
He calls himself the Soul Stud.
Okay.
If you Google him, you'll see him. So I meet him at college. He's playing guitar, but he's also studying engineering. And I'm like, I want to do this. I want to learn this. Then we are part of a band. And that's when I started picking up actually the guitar, studied at Kafka for a year. Then I heard that next door, it's classical music, Mamelodi High. So the Baloko Vukani Mawet.
Yes.
Now, Mamelodi High. That's when I started. I'm like, okay, the sound that I want is in the classical guitar. So that's when I went to Mamelodi High, and my studying started there. In 2011, I decided that maybe classical, it's not for me.
So classical, what is it? Is it instrumental or is it voice?
No, classical guitar.
Oh, classical guitar.
Yes, classical guitar. It's playing classical music on the guitar. Playing classical music on the guitar. So creatively, as an artist, you know where you want to place yourself. So I like the sound, but the music was too heavy and too eerie for me. I wanted something African, and I heard that jazz is African. So that's why I auditioned at TT. Luckily, I got in, and in 2011, me and Nqamisa started doing jazz music.
So let's take a couple of steps back. What informed the guitar? Did you always wanted to play the guitar? Was it something that you looked at George Benson, were like, I want to play that? Or was there another instrument that you wanted to play, but you ended up with the guitar?
Yes. So I wanted to play the harp, actually.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to play the harp. Unfortunately, I could not have access to it.
Yeah. That's like a complex instrument, like to find and.
I still want to play the harp.
Okay.
They just told me that there isn't a teacher called
Yeah.
a teacher for it. I think at that time there was only one teacher in Pretoria, and it was she was at the university.
Yeah.
And I could only like go
Access it when you're a student. Yeah.
You know, but I had to have my own instrument, and it's a very expensive instrument, the harp.
What inspired the harp? Andreas Vollenweider?
No.
Just the sound.
Just the sound.
Nice.
Just the sound. I was not, at that time, I was really not looking at any artist to say, okay, I want to be like, or I want
But where did you hear the harp?
I don't even know. I just knew that I wanted to play this instrument.
Okay.
It was enchanting for me. So the next best thing, they told me that it was the classical guitar. That's when I got into classical guitar.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily, I mean, as I said, it was the universe was orchestrating everything for me. I knew that eventually I will end up being an artist and being a musician.
Then the guitar.
Then the guitar, then TUT, fast forward. I get a job in 2009, actually, before I go to TUT in 2011. I get a job. No, not 2009, 2010. I get a job as a classical guitar instructor. So I was like, but mom, you see, everything, it's getting together. And this engineering thing, I finished N6. I can't find training. I can't find any company that wants to hire me. And I'm like, in the meantime, while I'm waiting for the in-service training, let me just do this music thing. And then I get employed in this thing.
So, I mean, I was actually going to ask you if you finished, but I mean, the engineering. But how difficult was it to balance the two? Music, engineering. I mean, they don't sound like, like one is science, technical, the other one is artsy,
I could not balance. I don't want to lie. I failed a few modules because I was busy chasing performances. It got me depressed. When you're doing something that you've just discovered, and this is like I'm 17, 18 years old. I just discovered that this is not me. I want to be on the stage. I want people to look at me do something. So it wasn't a balance, but I remember my mother saying, but Phindile, like you're at the end, just finish, And after I was done with it, I was like, mom, thank you.
So it's like, if you're going to quit, you either quit, and you can't want to quit when you're almost
Exactly. And, they kept on saying, you have to have something to fall back on, and so on.
How important is that, though, in the music business? I know we'll get into it deeper, but I mean, at the foundation, did you know that, I need something to fall back on, or you were like, music is music, I know I'm going to succeed on this thing? Did you?
At the beginning, when you're starting out, when the excitement is there, and when things look like they're getting together and happening for you, it's like, but why do I need something to fall back on? I think, let me say 10, 15 years into it, you realize that maybe I should have, done something along that line to support the music. Because honestly, in South Africa, as a practicing musician, there's only a handful that can do it on a full-time basis without doing anything else. Maybe the dream is to move, to Europe and do it but you do need something else that will keep you afloat while the music is going on.
So is this geographic, though? I mean, when I say is it geographic, I mean, so there are people who say if you are a jazz artist and you want to do jazz as a full-time profession, career, calling, you need to find yourself in spaces that appreciate the craft and are willing to pay for the craft and support the craft. So in other words, if you are a classical artist or whatever, Europe is the place to be because, they have a fuller appreciation and support, and the environment is, the investments, the money they throw into that type of an environment. So if you are there, you don't need a side, something to fall back on.
Yes.
Unlike here, where, the industry is not fully, matured enough, or the environment is not fully matured enough to support the music industry. Is it a geography thing? Do you think if you were in Europe, you would need engineering? Is it a fact that, okay, in South Africa, we love music, but we don't love it to a point where,
I would say time and chance is given to everybody. So, but geographically in Europe, it's easier to be, a musician. They can tell you. I mean, we've had people coming from Europe telling us, it's not that easy, But I've realized that in poorer countries, music is the last thing. Art is the last thing.
Art, yes.
On the
in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, art is nowhere. Like
it's like a privilege, afforded to a few.
Once we're at the top, maybe,
because we hear also top artists complaining that there isn't enough. But I was telling you earlier that when you got a calling and you're a pastor.
Yes.
Whether the congregation is there or not, you're still a pastor. And I think that's why we always go back to saying, okay, fine. What else can we do in the music that will help us sustain the creative part? Because creatively, South Africa, we are so rich. We are so rich. But because of the places that we are, where we were born, we were raised, the belief system around it, it limits how much we can make in terms of money that will sustain, a family or your life, So the good example, the first day at TUT in university, a lecturer says, so I don't know how many we were in the class, 40, almost 50. It's like, okay, so all of you have applied for poverty. And at that time, we're like, oh, hell no. Like, I'm the best thing that has ever happened to the music industry. But you realize that because also the systems in South Africa, they're not in place to support a growing musician. They're only there for the ones that
well
have
established,
made it, or the ones that were well publicized and well marketed. So it's not. It can be a geographical thing, but creatively, I don't think it is.
I think creatively, the creative genie is all over the world. But I think in terms of development and support, there are certain areas where you are likely. So there are certain areas where even when you are average, but if you find yourself in the right environment, it will elevate you. And there are certain areas where even when you are multi-talented, but if you're in a wrong space, you won't elevate as much as you should.
And there's also places where, like for instance, somebody was telling me about, Senegal. So Senegal is the home of the Kora.
Yes.
Right? And he said that in Senegal, there are certain families, that are designated this instrument. You know, they are supposed to be playing this instrument, and they are respected for just playing music. You know, so in a place like that, in an environment like that, there's growth because also it's exclusive. You get what I mean? Now I'm a guitarist. How many guitarists do you know? We are, you know, I think every every area has got like.
Okay, so let's fast forward to now. You're this big star,
Listen to you.
the soul provider. You're providing soul everywhere, healing us, right? You know, how high has it been? Like, where you were like, I've never thought I'd perform here. You know, like, wow, I never thought I'll see this amazing crowd. Wow, you know, or people just responding to your music, right? Take us through. You're on stage.
The highlights, I think, of my career. It has to be when I had to present the Soul Art Affair. The Soul Art Affair, it's a collection of music and poetry that I had been doing like for 10 years, you know, and I was given the opportunity by the South African State Theatre to present it as a production. So it wasn't like, you know, I was called somewhere and then I was performing a few songs. It was a whole production that went into it, and I was able to curate it as well. That was the highlight of, you know, my career. Because, first of all, the platform at the South African State Theatre, it's worthy to have on your CV. And second of all, to be given the freedom to curate your own show. As a creative, not only as a musician, I was able to use all aspects of what I had been seeing, you know, in my mind. Okay, the musicians must look like this. The music must be, you know, because the Soul Art Affair is about healing, collective healing. The people that are listening to the music, they must be able to go out the show or from the show and say, you know what, we traveled and we went somewhere. So it was my experiment as well to see if I can get into the therapy space as a musician doing what I do.
So how, I mean, that sounds like a huge, you know, privilege, right? You're given the platform. This is South African State Theatre, and you're given the freedom to curate. So how big was it? I mean, was it?
So the crowd itself, the numbers were not as I had expected. But there were
the quality
for the there were a quality audience for what I wanted to do. There were enough, meaning that I had never done a show on my own where people bought tickets and there was, you know, like a crowd.
So it came so big away. Here to see you,
exactly. Not like
you
this one and that one and that one and that one.
We're just here for you.
Yes. So that
when was this?
It was last year.
Oh wow! So it's that recent.
Yeah, it's recent. It was for the Vavasati International Women's Festival.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So that for me, it was the highlight of my career. Maybe to kind of go deeper into it. Last year, this year, 2024, we were at the Africa Burn Festival. There's this festival.
Where is it?
Somewhere in the Karoo.
Okay.
But it's a 5-7 day festival. It's a meditation kind of festival. Music is like a addition to the meditation and the art as well.
It's like a soundtrack.
Yes, sort of, you know. And I was invited to these particular people. you can't mention names.
Yeah.
These particular people. And for the first time, people were listening to my music as therapy, not as a performance.
Yeah.
So I remember, they said, okay, it's time for a performance. It was like at 11 o'clock at night. And people were standing, they were waiting outside. And they're like, yeah, we have a musician. And these are, they're not my normal audience. It's people that, it's white people, let me put it that way. It's white people. They're standing at the door and they're like, so they asked me, so you want them to sit, to stand, or to lie down?
Yeah.
And I'm like, whatever that they want. They come in quickly. And when they come in, they start lying down. All of them, they start lying down. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And I start singing. And as I sang, it wasn't a performance where, you get like an audience clapping. It was actually a therapy session. And, when I was done, I saw people just being in a zone somewhere. And we could not stand up because there was this, I don't know if I can explain it. There was this pull or there was this gravity, in the air that people were not ready to move. And I'm like, oh Lord, this is what I want.
Wow.
This is what I want.
So you remind me of one of the things that used to frustrate a hell out of Brahuma Sikkim. And I think it's got to do with the crowd, because but I think overseas, when they listen to jazz, they listen to jazz. So they sit and they listen and they immerse themselves in the melodies, right? So when, and there will be all these artists in the band and they're all, interchanging and maybe, but they all listen. Europe, I think it's the same as well. You watch some jazz performance, orchestra, whatever. People sit and listen. And so he comes back home post 94 or just before 94, but he comes back home and he performs and everybody's dancing and he's frustrated. And he's frustrated because I remember sorry, he would just sit down, he was telling you, sit down, right? And because, I think there's this disconnect in how we consume jazz and music and how the other, whether it's a color thing or it's a nationality thing, but there are people who, their understanding of performances, we sit, we listen, we watch. At the end, then
we clap.
We clap, right? And my people, they're on the table.
Yes.
Right?
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Different nationalities, they have their own way of therapy.
Yeah.
That's what I'm discovering.
Yeah.
That my therapy cannot be your therapy.
Yeah.
What you need cannot be what I need. So when you speak about that, it's actually if I should say, a school of thought thing where jazz ought to be listened to.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily, it's not a...
So it's...
You get what I mean?
Yeah, sing and dance.
Yes, it ought to be listened to. But I see the trend is slowly changing. Because then now jazz is consumed on different levels by different age groups.
Yeah.
So now jazz may equal like Papa.
Yes.
You get what I mean?
Yes.
But now I find that even young people are into this new, I call it new jazz. And whether you decide at a performance to dance or to listen, different strokes for different folks. There's room for that now.
Do you find performing for my people different to performing for higher LSM, white people, or sophisticated? Is there a difference for you in terms of?
There is a difference because I believe that for our people, because I use language as well, like
Yeah.
you understand it from that level. But if I perform for other people, they have to get it from either from an intellectual level or from
Melody
spiritual
type,
level.
yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So if I can find somebody looking at me, listening, that's enough for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't ignore me. Don't just walk past. Yeah.
You must sit down and listen.
No, even if you don't sit down, but just the
Okay, acknowledge.
yes, you get what I mean. And I don't know, like they smile a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
When I've done my job for the day,
Okay.
I'm not too worried about what the audience might or how the audience might react. I'm mostly worried about what I'm feeling and what I'm delivering.
All right. So before we get into your Blunders, maybe, showcase for us
Yeah, sure.
what the SoulProvider can do. I promise I won't jump on the table. I will sit and I'll listen.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So, yeah. Let's
you
take
can.
I can dance.
You can.
Right. So is this your first guitar ever, or this is the third or the fourth?
Never. Ask any guitarist. It's their first.
So you improve. Is there improvements on the instruments that you feel, there's new technology and things like that?
Well, not into the technology per se, but
design.
Yeah, what was okay at first I did not have a guitar that can actually plug in.
Yes.
So now I have a guitar that can plug in. This is a classical guitar. So I'm still loving the classical sound, but I interpret my music differently on the classical. Yes, so I had to, find my kind of my sound, because there's acoustic guitars that are not like this, that are actual. They got steel strings, but for me, I felt that when I'm writing music, this interprets the music better than on the other guitars. But it's not my first guitar.
Okay.
And it's not my only guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my biggest blunder stage, Phindile, the SoulProvider. Over to you.
Thank you. I always like to start with the song. This song, I wrote it when I started, asking my mother to appreciate that I'm a musician.
Wow.
And one way of doing that is to involve her in the writing process. And that's when I discovered actually I like Sepedi. I like the texture, I like the rhythms. So this is one of the songs that we wrote together. Yena wa go thula tsela le shokeng dino kana le kgwareng a rorishe le genka sepela molapong wa moriti wa lehu o na le nae ha rorishe yena wa go thula tsela le shokeng dino kana le kgwareng a rorishe le genka sepela molapong wa moriti wa lehu o na le na hey nkwe lengkweng botse ke nyaka go le botsa bopaki bja bogolo a sale ke kopana le senatla sa legodimo mehlolo ya ka moka e ntatela mola le mola malo malo ke lokologile morwa modimo morwa motho o ntšhitše bokgobe nageng ya egepeta malo malo di fedile bokgobe bja malwetši bokgobe bja ditlaišego le dingongoro rodiše yena wa go thula lešokeng dinokana le kgwareng roriše le ge nka sepela molapeng wa moriti wa lehu o na le nnae roriše yena wa go thula lešokeng dinokana le kgwareng le ge nka sepela molapeng wa moriti wa lehu o na le nna o na le nna hey, hey, oh, oh, na le nna
Woo! You're allowed to clap. Wow.
Yeah, that was,
Sure.
I wrote it with my mother. She helped me a lot with how to phrase.
Why Sepedi? You're not
I'm
Pedi?
not. I'm not.
How do you connect with Sepedi? Was it a boyfriend?
No, never. Please. So Sepedi for me, I had to learn a vernacular language. And Sepedi was the nearest thing because my mother, even though she was Nqana, but she was raised Sepedi.
Yeah.
And when she was raised Sepedi, then my dad comes and now he doesn't speak to us in Xhosa, he's Xhosa. He doesn't speak to us in any Nguni language. He speaks to us in Sepedi. So I didn't have a chance to learn the Xhosa. Probably, it's actually only now, like the past 3-4 months that I've been learning to sing in Xhosa. I've written new music in Xhosa, But Sepedi, I resonated with it because, for one, the language itself, for me, when I write the music, I don't put the music down first and then write the lyrics. I have to write the music around the lyrics.
Yeah.
So that was interesting for me to do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I sing in Sepedi.
All right.
Yeah. I'm gonna do. What is the last one?
Yeah, it's fine.
This song, it's called Feel Alive. It's a song that I developed it while I was learning to play the guitar. So every time I learned a new chord, then I would put it in the song. And when I had learned a few basic chords, now I had this song. It was the most easiest song that I've ever written. It probably took me like a day to write in comparison with the other work that I do, because I believe that art must simmer. I write a song now and then I let it simmer. It can be 6 months, it can be a year. But I know that when I come back to it, it will be ready. It would have sunk in. So, but this one, it was easy, man. And to this day, I think I've recorded it so many times. It still sounds fresh to me. It's called Feel Alive. And
so this is your firstborn?
Yeah, this is my firstborn.
Okay.
This is my firstborn. I feel so alive when I'm with you. I feel so alive, and I'll always be. As I walk with my own 2 feet, is reason enough for me to thank you, Lord. I know that at the end of this path, I find myself singing praises to you in heaven. It's very hard sometimes to understand your works and your ways. Even though we know you know what's good for us, we often get confused. That's why I'll bring to your attention that I acknowledge the love you've given me. It's one of the reasons why I love you. I feel so alive when I'm with you. I feel so alive, and I'll always be. I feel so alive, and when I'm with you, I feel so alive, and I'll always be. Because of your mercies and your gracious love, I'm the person that I am today, yeah. You bring me joy into my life. I praise you, Lord. I feel so alive. Oh, and I'm with you. I feel so alive, so alive, so alive, so alive. I feel so alive when I'm with you. I feel so alive. Ding, ding.
Wow.
Thank you.
I feel like I should be paying for this. Wow. How does that make you feel? I mean, this is your firstborn.
Oh, gosh. This song, I always feel fresh.
It's like day one.
Yeah.
It feels like
the Soul Art Affair, the show that I'm talking about, the production, it was actually centered around the song.
Wow.
And this is after COVID time.
Yes.
And when I sang the song, when all work was closed, when we couldn't hug each other.
Yes.
We
wouldn't be sitting like this.
When you cough, you're like, you know what I mean? I felt that COVID took away something very important, and this is Udlalwane, So this song, when I started singing it again, because we couldn't go anywhere, we couldn't do anything, it had a fresh perspective. And I was like, okay, so I had to reevaluate my writing process as well, to say, okay, I've been writing music, but I've never quite understood, where does the music come from? Why do I play the way I do? So basically since 2021, there has been, a few revelations. I've grown as a musician, creatively, and also, as a business.
Okay.
Something.
All right. So let's get into the blunders now, because we have spoken about the highs. But before that, this was your first song. How many songs have you, do you have?
I haven't counted. I feel like if I count, I will feel very
old.
No, like you haven't started doing anything.
Okay.
But what I can tell you is that I got 3 hours worth of music.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is how many albums?
It's 3 albums.
3
yeah.
albums. Nice.
Yeah.
And there are still others coming.
There are still others coming. Actually, one of the highs is being commissioned by a friend of mine. His name is Ngako. I don't think you'll appreciate me saying. Anyway, Kotazo. He commissioned me to start writing music for certain or specific subjects. So last year, I did a project where I was doing children's music.
Oh, nice.
In Sepedi, completely in Sepedi. Wow. And it was children's music. So that is coming out soon. I think one of the songs is already on YouTube. And because he's a bit Nqana, it's really in that space.
Yeah. Okay.
So I can't tell you much about it.
No, that's fine.
But that's one of the commissions I got this year. I got a commission to, write music about people and the struggles of people and how we get through it, and remembering where we come from. But it's supposed to be like African languages. So it has helped me to narrow down so many things, especially about my creative process.
Okay. So the lows.
Yeah.
The notes. Because this is such a beautiful thing. You're performing at the Karoo, you're dazzling people, you're getting commissioned work. There's music coming out, you're growing as an artist. Sounds like a fabulous thing, like a fabulous life.
Yeah.
Take us the backstage, because what we get to see, we get to be wowed on stage. This platform is about the things that chances are something horribly wrong happened. No one knows about it. You went into your room, you closed the door, and you cried your eyes off.
Yeah.
And you came out, put some makeup, pretended as if everything is fine.
Yes, definitely.
So we want to be in that room when you were crying. What happened?
I think, I don't know if I should speak about Blunders as a music business practitioner or personally.
Both.
Yes. Okay, so I think it's easiest to describe the business part of it. So one of the blunders that I think that every artist should be aware of, and it's something that, it greatly impacts on how we are viewed in society. So we are in the Nelspruit. I was working there for a while, between 2015 and 2016. And we have an opportunity to, I'm a teacher, I'm a music teacher. So as music teachers of that particular establishment, we have an opportunity to go and present music as a band. Now, when you're a music teacher and you're working full-time as a music teacher, it's very hard to, go out and perform. And we are in the nails break, so there aren't a lot of opportunities for me to just pick up a guitar and stand somewhere and play. So it's a great opportunity. It will open up gigs, more gigs, and we do so well that the client says to us, wow, you guys are so good, definitely, hired for my next thing. We give out our business cards. That place was nice. We had business cards there. We give out our business cards. Beautiful, beautiful performance. At the end of the performance, what happens is that they're like, okay, guys, you can just sit and chill, drinks are here, whatever that you want to drink, whatever that you want to eat, like a social little thing. And then, okay, the guys, they pick their poison.
Yes.
Everybody, jolly, we're happy. But at the end of the night, the caterers, they're like, there's a lot of booze left, guys, like pick up whatever that you want, take home, and the guys, they don't just like pick one, they take packs and packs.
Scuffed it.
Oh my goodness. And I'm sitting there, and then now after they do that, the client comes and he says, put them back. Why are you doing this? Most we gave you, enough to drink. We gave you enough to eat. Now it's like you want to steal from us. That was the biggest blunder, because after that time, Nelspruit is very small. It spread like wildfire. It even got to our bosses. They told them that, these people, they're so greedy. We paid them for the performance, and they still want more.
Did they book you afterwards?
No, we did not get another booking again. And I'm not surprised. I am not surprised. So from that, I learned that, to be professional is the most important thing, especially when it comes to what we do. Because the music industry, as much as the people are big personalities, it's very small. So everybody knows everyone. I learned that, when you're hired to perform at a gig, you are the help. You're not you're not the guest.
Yeah.
You are the help. And if you've been paid for a service, you do what you came to do, then you leave.
Yeah.
Or you sit tightly.
Yeah.
You get what's offered to you, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that thing also taught me that the reason why art or musicians are perceived in a certain way is because of
What way is that?
Man, in an unruly way.
Okay.
When you are, say for instance, we like it, we get drunk, all of us, but there are certain places that are, you can do that.
Yeah.
Not when you are with a client.
Yeah.
Which goes for every profession.
No, for sure. I was actually
Yes.
going to say that it's one of those situations where if you are not taught, there's like, the unwritten rules that you are actually being judged on, but you're not being told that you are being judged on, right? Which kind of like, it feels unfair, but at the same time, it's expected of you to know somehow, right? Because I often hear this quite a lot where artists come, they perform, and then after they performed, there's drinks. And there's always this tug of war between who's paying for the drinks.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I like what you're saying, that you're actually the help. Right? Yes, you are there to entertain, but you're actually there to help the host make the guests feel welcome.
Yes.
We're not necessarily there for you, unless if it's a show, but we're not necessarily there for you. We are there at the behest of the host.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Sure.
So that's one of the blunders I've realized, or I've
But did you follow up afterwards?
We did.
And
we did. And they gave away our gig, man. They gave away our gig.
Ouch. How big was this gig?
It was a corporate gig.
Yeah.
And corporate gigs, they pay enough.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
If you get it.
As I said, we are in a small town.
Yeah.
So the service providers are, the same people. And if you messed up here, then they'll never call you again.
So how did you feel when the client walked in and all the hell broke loose?
I had a bottle in my head, man. So
you also had to put it back.
I had to put it back. But, I was, and that's the thing, I was surprised at her, the client's reaction. Because I did not know that the other guys took packs and packs and packs. So I was like, oh, you're taking one. Okay, I'll take one. But it was bad. It was so bad,
But you teach students because when we teach art, or we teach, this is the art, this is how you play the guitar. Do we teach them the business of the art?
No, I don't have the privilege just as yet to do so.
But you find that a lot of artists struggle with that, the business of how you conduct yourself in front of the client at that particular point in time. It's not just playing the drums or playing the guitar. There's also the conduct and the etiquette around that.
So because I went through that, I always keep my people in check of such things. I would say, okay, we're going to the clients or we're going to a wedding or whatever like that. Remember that you are there as the help. You're like the caterers. You get what I mean? If they paid you, then I'll make sure that you guys are okay, but not at the client's place. We'll go somewhere and finish off there, Another thing is that I've learned that you need to include everything in your quotation. So first of all, you must have a quotation. And second of all, you must have a technical rider, which is what you use technically. And you must also have a hospitality rider. So that whatever the client is going to be serving you, it's expected. You see? It's things that we overlooked as I, But now I realize that I may be, personally, I feel that when I'm done with the performance, I must leave. Why sit? But other people feel that, no, they want to relax a little bit and so on and so forth. So that's where all the other nitty-gritties. But that's not all, obviously. How you conduct yourself when you walk into a performance. You can't just walk like...
body language, dress code.
If you're a hip-hop artist, you have to dress like a hip-hop artist. You're not going to come in like, looking all timid. Hip-hop is... You have to be... Yes, you have to be... You get one in their face, But if they say that it is a 5-star or whatever,
jazz performance,
you get what I mean. You need to make sure that you dress the part, you look the part, you behave the part.
Do you find that artists, before they do a gig, they check those things? What type of a gig is it? What type of people are coming? The dress code and.
I feel that.
Because there's a feeling that people must adjust to the artist, and the artist shouldn't. If they adjust to the environment, they lose their...
I feel like what you're saying is true, but not true. Because if an artist has already been seen a certain way, let's say Mzegezeke, for instance, I don't expect Mzegezeke to come in a suit. I expect him to come in an overall with a hoodie. I understand.
Yes.
That's what they've sold, and that's what they need to present. It doesn't matter whether it is...
Got it.
You get what I mean?
Got it.
But for some of us who are not yet well known, you need to present yourself in a way that will let the client call you back.
Yeah.
You know, Oscar Boramureki.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But it's a thin line though, because artists, they feel they are the star, and you know.
Yes, we are the star. Look at
and-
me. We are the stars.
But he who has gold makes the rules.
But you know, we are not the sky.
Yes.
You know, we must shine in the sky.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Artists are, you know, humility goes a long way, especially with getting work.
Yeah.
When you're not humble,
Yeah.
and humility says that when you show up appropriately.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's dress code, whether, you know, I mean, the artists that like, you know, to take a few drinks before they go on stage or whatever like that. What is the client doing? What is the client saying when it's like that? You know? And then they'll tell you, but Mick Jagger did this. But Bob Marley did.
Yeah.
And you're like, but you're not Bob Marley. You're not Mick Jagger. You're not these people.
Yeah.
You know? We have learned also. I remember at TUT where we did music history, that it mattered, you know? It mattered that people were high on stage. It mattered because in their biography, or, you know, what we learned about them, they tell you, okay, this person went to this gig, and then they had a knife, and then they put it to the knife, you know, things like that. Imagine if they were alive and they were reading, you know, such a report about them, you know, and people are learning it. So I'm a firm believer that you must have a good report. You know, if I've been to your place, if I've been to your event, you must give a good report. You say, but this person is professional, is this, is this, is that. Especially because, as I said, I'm not as well marketed as...
Okay.
Yeah.
The last blunder, the personal.
Personal blunder.
Yes.
So, I think personal blunder, it has to be not being able to separate business from relationships. Not necessarily romantic relationships, but like when we are doing work, it's nothing personal. And we need to respect that we have a project and we need to finish a project.
Okay.
Yeah. So the biggest blunder that I've done is to be understanding of, you know, certain, or letting go, or maybe the boundaries.
Give us a story. What happened? It will articulate it much better.
Oh yeah, it will articulate it much better.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a so out of it, the first one, it was not at the State Theatre. It was actually somewhere where I was experimenting on how I would actually curate it or do it. So I hire musicians. I did everything myself. I looked for the sponsors, you know, and it wasn't like big sponsors. Like I would come to you, can you please pay my basis? You know? But I had the money. And I thought that was enough. I had everything. I booked the musicians. So this one particular musician, I asked them, okay, this is what we're doing, and I needed, you know, we have to be ready by this time. We're going to have 3, 4, 5 rehearsals, and they're going to go like this. I wanted to film the whole thing. I wanted to film the rehearsals. I wanted to film, you know, like get some content going. Because I was not ready for I was not ready to find myself in a place where they could not meet me. So this particular musician misses the first rehearsal. Was it the second? Misses the second rehearsal. I'm like, it's okay. Man, I know him. Come on. misses the third rehearsal. And I'm like, but I understand. It's my friend. He's been with me for many years. We've been working together for many years. You know, when it was a week before the performance, then they don't tell me anything. They're like, you know, they can't tell me whether they are making it or they're not.
They're in or out, yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm sitting here. It's a week away from the performance, and I'm under a lot of stress because I took on everything. I didn't even delegate anyone. I took on everything, and I need to now look for a bassist. I find a bassist. We rehearse two days before the performance. They sound, positive. They're fine. Then he calls me and says,
who's the bassist?
Yes. So they call me and say, but you gave away the gig. I'm like, but I've been asking you. I've been asking you, And that thing caused me so much stress that on the day of the performance, I walked in to the performance or the venue, and my voice got cut off. So it was like,
Because of the stress.
Because of the stress, because of I had to deal with musicians that don't want to cooperate, because I'm an understanding person. Otherwise, if you would have missed the first one, I'd be like, no, let me look.
Yeah.
Yeah. It left me. It's one of the factors.
Yeah.
Now I have to deal with the crowd. I have to deal with tickets. I have to deal with this. I have to deal with that. I walk into the venue, my voice is cut off.
So what happens? People are there to see you.
Hey. The day, if God wasn't with me, my voice gets cut off, and I can hear that it's not coming back.
So this is like load shedding your
like
voice.
Like load shedding, like
Stage
completely. 6. At 6 o'clock, there was something. I'm supposed to be on stage at 8 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, there was something. Maybe I could sing raspily or whatever like that. I go pray and say, Mujim, ke khopela o ntshwarele ka dilo tsa ka tsotlhe. Ke kobile basics. And then it's ke nkore dilo tsotlhe they are going wrong. Khopela tshwarele. 7 o'clock, my voice is not coming back. 8 o'clock, when I'm due to get on stage, it's completely dead. Completely dead. Completely dead. And this whole thing depends on me singing and playing the guitar. And I had to just ask my younger sister, Nqana, like whisper things. Please tell them I'm saying hi. My sister says hi. We're gonna sing the song. And then she would actually sing the music while I was whispering the lyrics to her because she knows the music.
What?
Yeah.
That's like, talk about improvisation.
Yo, it was. And
how did it come out though?
People say they didn't even realize that I didn't sing.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, you guys are ignorant.
You are that good. Or you and your sister are that good.
Maybe, Wow. But I've learned that business is business.
Yeah.
Never rely on. Like if you see that a musician is not going to make it, rather make plans earlier. Because as a creative, as an artist, I'm not too stressed about the lighting, for an example. I'm stressed about the music. And that stress there, it carried over into everything that I did.
So would you say then that that's why it's important, even though sometimes it's not practically possible, but it's important for artists to have managers?
Yes. That's the blunder that I would go into.
Yeah.
That we all need help. I cannot carry, I feel that I cannot carry, many loads. And
be at the best at all of them.
Yes, and this is but the music industry in South Africa. You have to wear a lot of hats. You have to be the one that talks to the client. You have to be the one that does quotations. You have to be the
Manage
one
the
that decides
team.
on your wardrobe. You have to be the one that manages, social media. I'm so bad at social media. I feel that it's a waste. Every time when I want to post the picture, I look at it 1,000 times more before I can post it. And by the thousandth
Yeah.
time I look at it, I'm like, maybe it's not.
Yeah.
Let's forget about that. I spend 30 minutes looking at it and re-looking at it. Whereas, if I had somebody that was handling my social media, whatever, they would do quick, it's out. But me, I feel that even though it's possible to do so, there are many musicians that have done so, that have handled their career by themselves in Bogotos,
Okay. So,
but I don't.
in conclusion, time flew. What would you say are the lessons that if your son or one of your nephews and nieces want to do what you are doing, what would you say are the lessons that you have learned so far?
Okay, so first of all, it's a lesson as a parent. Allow your children to explore as much as they can while they are still young.
Yeah.
I started music at 20 years old. That was already too late, to do anything. You get what I mean? So when you allow your children to explore different things, then they can find themselves quicker and they can find systems. Sometimes I feel like time flew because now I'm learning that I need to do a quotation. Now I'm learning that I need management. Now I'm learning, But when they started young, they have already, have an idea of where they want to go. It's the same as, even if it's engineering, now there's this coding thing, allow the children to explore. So that by the time they have to make a decision, then they know exactly what they want.
And don't want.
Yes. Number 2, always have templates for everything. Template for a quotation, because sometimes we are self-managed. Have a template for quotation, have a template for how you speak to clients, have a template,
Technical rider.
For all the things. Even social media, I must get a template.
So it's basically systems and processes.
So systems and processes. And number 3, know the business. Know when you record a song, where can it go? What can it do? Let us not leave it to the record producer or the executive producer, whoever, or the record label. Know exactly that when I join a label, this is the system that's working. These are the, collection, what do they call them? Societies, that are in place. Know the business.
Study the business.
Study the business. Know the business. Know that when you start creating, where do you go from there?
So, one of the things that I'm picking up, I'm a qualified accountant. And, I'm not practicing now, but when I used to practice, one of the things that we are forced to do is, we call them CPD, right? Continuous Professional Development, which means you are forced to spend a number of hours in a year attending workshops on the latest things. So as an accountant, you're up to date. The same applies with lawyers. The same applies with doctors, right? If there are new developments as a doctor, you need to be up to date with what's happening.
Yes.
I find that professions that don't have this thing that forces you to be up to date with what's happening, and your own personal development is left to your own, a lot of them, they fall behind, whether it's artists or entrepreneurs, where they don't know the templates. They don't know the things that if they were forced to spend 30 hours in a year attending workshops, keeping a register, at the end you submit, and then you are then deemed to be up to date as a professional. Pretty much like soccer players, they go to gym, they practice. Their coaches go to refresher courses. They know what's the latest in the space. How important would that be for the arts?
It's very important. But to say a little bit on being forced to actually learn. Already in South Africa, being an artist is informal. It's like selling guitar, you know.
Yeah.
Only I think in the past 15 years, now there's like a newfound respect for an artist that went to school.
Yes.
You understand? You can get hired by the Department of Education or for whatever reason. When you have a degree in art or a degree in music, now they can look at it like, oh no, he's limit.
Yeah.
You see. But even in those spaces, there's lack of practical knowledge. So I will learn how to play a scale, how to make melodies beautiful, and learn other things that have got nothing to do with me when I come out of the university to say, okay, let's practice the music or the business. In fact, music business usually it's people that aren't even musicians that know the business of music. So, but we cannot also limit ourselves to say, okay, nobody is forcing us. We have to go out and look for information, especially in this era, in this time where we have the internet to our disposal. We have platforms.
YouTube, there's all these things.
There's so many platforms now where you can practice as a musician without being, under a record label or, all those things. So it's not it's something we must be willing to learn and learn new things.
Yeah.
That's it.
Awesome. On that note, thank you so much. I mean, you and I can talk forever on this thing.
Yeah, it's a big, It's a
thank
big
you so
subject.
much, the SoulProvider. Why the SoulProvider? Is it because of the music? Where does the SoulProvider come?
Look at me.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm joking.
All right.
The SoulProvider, it was I needed a stage name for being a poet.
Okay.
And then, but it kind of grew on me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a poet. Do some rhyme for us. Yeah. You must have a poem ready. Huh?
I haven't been practicing as a
Oh,
poet.
my word.
I haven't been practicing.
There was
as
a
a poet.
poem that you did in one of your songs about this girl and this guy, Kokasi. And this guy,
No, that was a rap.
Oh, it was a rap?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought, my bad. Okay. Okay. Anything? Nothing?
No, I can do something.
A rap, poet, something?
I have a poem. I have a
Okay.
poem.
Let's close on that one.
Okay, let's close
Then I
on
can
a
go
poem.
home and Buga can smile or driving back home. Can all be happy.
Yeah. Okay,
Have the soul and the
the soul,
Yes.
the soul.
Yes.
I'm gonna do a piece. Unfortunately, at the moment, I do not have poetry that I've already,
Okay. Internalized.
internalized.
All right.
But this particular poem, I did it for the Soul Art Affair. And I felt that, we there are times, especially as women, you get to a place in your life where maybe things are not going as well, and then you are unable to navigate, the spaces that we're in. So I'm just going to do like a short, maybe like 2 stanzas.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah. Head up, breast out. Think tall, think forward. It is like a balm on your lips. It shines and it is bright. Light at this height, the fight is now out of sight. You, they call 7 times fallen, yet 7 times you rise, and with a smile, your glimmer glows with tales of experience. Hide no more. Your scars have opened the mouth of God. Embrace the shapes like the desert June, born from winds that blew you from left to right. Embrace the hieroglyphics like the river banks that saw heavy rains. Your heart has seen stars in the eyes of the heavens. Your heart speaks, for he who created the omniverse gives us verses to pass through our lips and through our hips that sway to a different tune. It's a constant gong of grace beaming from contoured faces. This is you. This is you. Ears without fears. You can now hear the heartbeat that was once faint, almost drained. But its rhythm never died. Yes, all of us here have been touched in places we never knew we had. Corners that did not exist. Bitter, still waters of those spaces deeper within where only I could feel. Feelings folded, molded into sagas of the night. But only him, Elohim, exchanged ashes for beauty. If you look hard enough, you might just find him dancing at the corners of my smile.
Wow. Sure. On that smiley note, thank you so much. And we really appreciate your time and all the best.
Well, thank you. Thank you
Awesome.
for having me. Thank you.
Great. On that very note, thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to subscribe and like and share with the rest. Thank you so much.